see what they want. They see the fruit that other trees are producing and they say, me too. And then they go out and they find some of that and they staple it to themselves and try and convince everyone, including themselves, that they have what it takes to produce that fruit. But in due time, the truth will be made known. So instead, let's grow into their fruit. All right. What's up, everybody? It's time for my favorite topic, mindset. And today I'm going to share exactly why this is my favorite topic. I didn't set out wanting to be a mindset coach, caring much about mindset. I arrived here because I found that in my own journey and in that of my clients, that the mindset piece was the thing that was actually holding us all back. So it was really purely, I kind of want to say by accident, but just out of necessity, really, that I decided to care anything about mindset. And so after digging into the conversation and opening myself up to it, that's when things started to really accelerate for me. And that's when client results also started to accelerate. The more willing you are to engage and to invest in this conversation for yourself, taking your time, energy, money into educating yourself, reflecting on what are my patterns, what belief systems am I holding subconsciously, what operations what thoughts am I acting out over and over again, and how are they serving me? The more you're able to dig into that, read books, engage with scripture, reflective journaling, talking with other people at a deeper than superficial level, truly connecting. That's when this all starts to get fun. So that's my setup. Let's get into the presentation, and then if you guys have any questions, shoot them into the comments or the thread here on this video, and we'll chop it up. Let's actually start from the beginning. Mindset. So I'm framing this mindset conversation. As you guys know, there's 4 pillars to the Fit 4: training, nutrition, recovery, mindset. Mindset is the most abstract. It's the least understood, and therefore it gets the least attention, the least love. Training is the sexy one. Nutrition, everybody loves food, but hates to actually change their habits around food. Recovery is cool and biohacky, and we think we can kind of hack the system there. The mindset generally falls by the wayside, but it's really the medium that allows for all the rest of the work to actually take shape, like I said. So, and I'm going to frame this conversation today in terms of I have 10 core principles that I've discovered are absolutely fundamental to somebody getting results. Doesn't matter what the result is. If there is a gap between what you currently have, what you want in the future, these 10 principles are going to be the bridge between you achieving what you want, between point A and point B. We're going to zoom in on the first 3 today. And then next time we cover mindset, we'll take the next chunk. So here's the first 3 core principles of the Rezilience Method. Number 1, integrity. Number 2, presence. And number 3, expansion. So let's get into each one at a time. So like I said, mindset isn't so much like another set of things to do. It's really the way that you do everything else. Now, there are practices that we'll go over at some point that you work into your day, journaling practices in particular, and ways of study, methods of study that will that will basically create a structure for you to evolve your mindset. But really it's the ness that makes everything else actually work in your favor. And I did not realize this. My mindset was pretty fucked up. Throughout the first half of my life so far, I was just pushing, forcing, and hustling towards the outcomes that I desired. That's it. And I would leverage my energy and time to do work. It didn't matter really how efficient or smart aligned the work was. If I saw a goal, I would just push towards it and dragging outcomes out of myself instead of growing into them. Imagine that you want fruit, and imagine that you are a tree. Imagine you are a young tree, and the fruit that you want comes naturally as a result of your tree growing, taking in nutrients, taking in sunlight, turning that into more leaves, bigger branches, and eventually fruit on those branches. Now imagine instead that you saw some fruit chilling somewhere else, and you, as an ambitious young buck tree, decided, hey, why wait for my roots to go deeper and my branches to get bigger and my leaves to sprout more? I'm just gonna grab me some of them fruits and I'm going to attach them. I'm just going to staple them to my branches. Okay, that may fool some people. Oh, look, there's a tree with some fruits on it. But under the surface, obviously, that tree is not able to produce that fruit. And so what's going to happen? That fruit is going to rot on the branch because it's not even really connected to the branch. It's going to rot. It's going to fall off. It's going to start to attract shit, animals, critters, bugs, ants, bees, to its rotting fruitiness. Can't be good for the tree. And the tree is going to look barren once again. It can't make more fruit. It was a one and done. It was one pump chump. And so that metaphor applies so closely to what so many dudes are doing. They see what they want. They see the fruit that other trees are producing and they say, me too. And then they go out and they find some of that and they staple it to themselves and try and convince everyone, including themselves, that they have what it takes to produce that fruit. They're not fooling anybody. In due time, the truth will be made known. So instead, let's grow into their fruit. The realization for me came in COVID, actually. That was the reckoning time, because up until that point, I had been that tree. I was stapling as much fruit as I could possibly find to myself. And then all of a sudden, everything stopped. And I was locked down at home with my two, preschool age kids, and trying to figure out the work situation and how to pivot into Zoom life and living on top of my entire family and like scheduling like between me and my wife, like, oh, you're gonna work these hours, I'm gonna work these hours, we're gonna hang out with the kids, like who's gonna feed them lunch, like you guys know how it was. And so in that environment, in that pressure cooker environment, I was not able to hide anymore. I was not able to hide. That's when I figured out that something had to shift. I had to stop chasing the outcomes and I had to start living the principles. Because all of a sudden the outcomes that the facade that I had created had just come crashing down due to a global pandemic. And all I was left with was my shabby sapling self that was unable to produce that type of fruit spontaneously and consistently. So there's 3 layers that we need to integrate as men. Well, as humans, but I'm speaking primarily to men in this case. The first is the body. So, and the body, the body is a channel for faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. And faith is what belies these first 3 principles that we're talking about. So when I'm talking about faith, I'm not talking about faith in a religious sense. I'm literally talking about your integration with the universal substance. Like I said, the Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the certainty of things unseen. And we can more specifically say that the universal substance that from which everything springs forth ties to faith. We must interface, we must believe in something greater than ourselves, substance, an energy, a resource beyond ourselves, in order to bring something into existence that currently does not exist. There's a version of yourself that you want to be that doesn't exist. There's results that you want to have that doesn't exist. Okay, where the fuck is that going to come from? Can't come from you. You are limited. So it has to come from beyond you. How does that work? Okay, well, faith. Without faith, these first 3 principles, they don't really work. Okay, they're underpinned by faith. But with faith, that's when they actually start to get deadly. So let's unpack it. Integrity, there's a progression to this. Integrity, presence, and then expansion. Number 1, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. It's that important. How can you expect to change, to move from where you are to some other place, if you are unwilling to accept or to admit the place where you currently are? It's impossible. You can't go anywhere until you understand where you are now. And that is integrity. Integrity is, here I am. For better or worse, like it or not, I'm not judging it. What you see is what you get. And then I got to get on a soapbox here for a little bit. Not that I haven't been on one this whole time, but I've heard this definition of integrity lately, which is extremely reductionist and I would say horrifyingly inaccurate. People say that integrity is what you do when no one is looking. Okay, I guess it's not that, but when we look at the actual etymology of the word, integrity means that there's not 2 sides, like an integer, integral, integrity. It's all one. There's no duplicitousness in it. So integrity means that the light of truth can shine through you because all is one. You are the same inside, outside, from one person to another person, one situation to another situation. When you're awake, when you're asleep, when somebody's looking, when nobody's looking, you are who you are. That is integrity. And that is a powerful place to be. The most powerful man in the room is the one with nothing to hide. Okay. So, and you can't achieve a level of integrity and honesty with the world until you're willing to do it with yourself. And this is where most people get stuck because you'd rather not admit to certain things about yourself. You wish they were different. You wish that your joints didn't hurt when you tossed and turned in your bed at night. And you wish that you had plenty of stamina to play with your kids, to, do chores around the house, to make sweet love with your spouse. You wish that you didn't have alarming blood work, or that you wish you liked the way you look in the mirror, or you wish that you could fit into the jeans that you had that you really liked that fit 5 years ago or 1 year ago, but you can't, and you don't, and you haven't. And so you cover it up, and you keep covering it up and keep covering it up until you run out of energy, and then you can't do anything about it. And that's a big problem. So let's not do that. The food, the training, what we actually want, how we actually feel, all these quiet lies that we tell to ourselves. I just went through some examples. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's stuff that you wouldn't, that you and I have a hard time, even acknowledging that we think about. So as a quick reflection exercise, ask yourself let's keep the conversation concise and specific for now. We're just going to focus in on the body. So where am I training? Am I nutrition? Oh, yeah, or not. Talk about work too, relationships. Where am I not telling myself the truth? Where am I unwilling to admit the truth of the situation? Go ahead, write it down. I'll give you guys 10 seconds. If you're watching the video, just pause the video and then take as much time as you actually need. Because like I said, this is the real work, my friends. All right, cool. So you got that written down. The sneaky, subtle lies that you tell yourself about yourself feel liberating, even just to write them down. Okay, number 2, be here now. Presence. It requires faith to tell the truth. It requires faith to admit that things aren't the way you want them to be. It also requires faith to be here now, to push out thoughts of analyzing the past, thoughts of planning and preparing for and worrying about the future, and just let that be. Trust that it will be taken care of, or has been taken care of, and be here now. All the agency that you actually have exists right now. Can't do anything about the past. Can't do anything about the future. Not outside of the present. So you might as well be here now, in your body, not just mentally. Like, as the chair feel that you're sitting in right now? What sounds can you hear? What's up with your body? Where do you feel tension? Do a quick scan and just see what's up. This is probably the first time, certainly probably today, maybe in a long time, we actually listened. How can you be inspired? How can you tap into the power that exists, the ultimate and unlimited power that exists outside of yourself, and if you can't even hear it? Okay, because it's not a knowledge gap that's holding you back. It's the fact that you can't implement all the things that you currently know because you're so distracted. We are so distracted, and it's on purpose. It's pernicious. They're trying to distract you. They're trying to knock you off their game. They're trying to keep you from being present because they know that if you get present, that they cannot stop you. So all the power that you have to change is right here, right now. And you know this, but you have so far lacked the full amount of faith necessary to harness that moment in order to achieve what you want to achieve. So ask yourself, in what areas of my life am I currently checked out? Where am I either living in the past, living in the future, planning for the future? Where am I just performing instead of actually being present? Going through the motions, checking things off, checking boxes, checking things off my to-do list, rather than just existing, like in the visceral and enthralling experience of right now. I gave you guys 10 seconds. Again, stop the video, answer the question fully, and then we'll move on. All right, expansion. Last of the first 3 core principles here. You needed faith to tell the truth. You needed faith to be here now. You certainly need faith to go all in and imagine and believe in a future that is so far beyond your current experience that it seems almost fantastical. Seems impossible. But we all know that the universe is an abundant place, and that if the money that you've currently invested can compound interest over time and turn into, $10,000 can turn into millions in a few years, so can every aspect of your life, even more so, because money is something that we made up. But value and power and faith is something that we have only begun to scratch the surface of. Okay, I've had so many conversations lately with guys who are just unwilling to dream big, unwilling to see more, or unwilling to really truly believe it. Maybe they've just been disappointed so many times because they tried and they failed and they tried and they failed and they pushed and they pushed, just like I did. I get it. I get it. That doesn't mean that what you want isn't real. The very fact that your desire exists in you, that you thought of it, is proof that it does exist. It's proof that God has already given it to you, and it's up to you to go get it, to figure out a way to learn how to work smarter, not harder, to become that person for whom those results exist automatically. And the reason why most guys get stuck here is because you need to believe first, because the results are a lagging indicator of the work required in order to achieve it. The results are a lagging indicator of the work required to achieve it. So you got to do some work first. You're not going to lose fat because you decided to lose fat. You're not going to do a handstand or do a 315 bench press because you just one day woke up and decided that you were going to have that. No, you got to do some work first. And so what powers that work before the results start to come in? Well, it's belief, channeling that universal substance. So what future am I refusing to believe in because I don't have proof yet? Now, remember, I just told you that the very fact that you thought your desire up is proof that it exists, is proof. So, okay, yeah, let's redefine proof. Proof in the external sense, proof in the terms of like, it hasn't manifested itself on the physical plane yet. Well, everything that exists currently on the physical plane began first as an idea in somebody's mind, a desire, and they put in the work required with belief in order to achieve it. All of your goals, my friend, operate in the exact same way. So instead of telling yourself no, instead of downplaying your potential, instead of settling for less, let's grab on our nuts and flex. Let's believe that we can do this. And at the very least, because sometimes, as we know, like you set off on a path and you think you really want something, and on the way you decide that there's actually something better. A new path opens up that you didn't see before because all of a sudden your perspective has changed because your position has changed. That's fine too. That's part of the process. So set a goal, not just because it's something that you really want to achieve, but because it's something that's going to inspire you to fucking move. Because what you do want to achieve, certainly, because where you currently stand, you can't see everything. You cannot see everything. And so only through movement, only through conscious and conscientious effort will the path toward what you ultimately want be made clear. So what future am I refusing to believe in because I don't have proof yet? I'll give you guys 10 seconds on that, and then we'll wrap. All right. So just to reiterate, don't try to hack the system. Start with step 1. Tell the fucking truth. Step 2, be here now. Step 3, go all in. All of these are underpinned by the principle, the resource, the power that is faith, and see what happens. Last little exercise here. Let me know what is landing for you guys in what I've said so far. I would really love to know. What are you getting out of this? What are you hearing me say? How does this relate to what you're currently taking on in your life? And then what actions are becoming apparent from this conversation? Within the next 24 hours, within the next 7 days, I will XYZ. Send them to me in an email if you want to. Nathan@reziliencemethod.com, resilience with a Z. You can throw them in the comments, throw them in the chat. You can text them to me if you have my number. Again, any and all feedback, greatly appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, throw up a comment, subscribe, send this to somebody who you think needs to hear it or would benefit from it. Greatly appreciate it. Get this message out. Let's wake men up. Let's start a movement. We're no longer willing to settle for less than the best for ourselves, for our families, for each other. If all we did is that, man, this world would be a way different place. So looking forward to that. I'll catch you guys next week.